I mean, this goes back again to the whole thing about me, about funk. I use the word space, I use the word feel, and I played with a musician who kind of inspired me and said, about funk, it's all about keeping your powder dry. Hopefully when you listen back to the track, you'll hear that what I'm doing is it's an evolution of my own ideas. So I'm not blasting off beat one, bar one, with all my chops. I'm keeping my powder dry, I'm making space. And I just started off with a simple, it's in A flat, so the chord that I'm kind of grooving over for the bulk of it, again, linking back to funk harmonically being repetitive at times. But to get away from that, what could be relentless repetition, I'm using a couple of techniques, okay? The first is, to build my part, I'm starting dynamically very quiet. And to do that, I've actually used a palm muting technique where instead of plucking the strings with my fingers, okay, I'm actually just laying part of my hand over the strings at the bridge to deaden the sound slightly. If you listen to Rocco from the Tower of Power, he actually took it a stage further and used a hairband round the nut and also foam under the bridge. Guys like Bill Babbitt, the old Motown player, same techniques. So there's that. So instead of sounding one, there's the dinosaur. One, I'm actually doing it every 2 bars, which is kind of cool. Okay? I'm actually laying my hand there and plucking it with the fleshy part of my thumb just there. So it's kind of like, even from beat one, bar one, there's suspense there. I've always got somewhere to go. There's nothing worse than recording a tune, especially with funk, and not having anywhere to go, as a bass player. Also, I'm putting in there a little detail with a little skip, listen, which is just an octave. But because of the palm muting, that octave sounds quirky, but it gives you your bass line. Again, it's something to get away from the very repetitive nature of just one note. In effect, that's all I'm doing, one notes on eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Yeah, it's a 16-note skip. It's quite cool. So that goes on for a while. There's a couple of chordal figures in there, but because I've got a lead sheet, okay, I'm not doing anything flash with it. I'm just doing what a lot of bass players do, which is nothing wrong with that, and playing the root note. Okay, there's a little figure, 3, 4, 2. Okay, and I'm just, that's the wrong note at the end, nice. Okay, but I'm just playing the root notes of the figure. But because of the palm muting technique, instead of, yeah, it's a short and sharp, boom, percussive. Totally, that's why I said, what does funk mean to me? Space, groove, feel, Just because I'm playing, in effect, one note or 2, if you include the octave, there's still a sense of space in that idea. Why? Because the sound of the instrument isn't open like in some other styles of music. It doesn't ring by the very nature of palm muting. Yeah? So I can't overplay that. But at the same thing, it's underpinning everything else that's going along. Steve, the drummer in that session, is just playing a simple beat to it. Okay? And it's just like, yeah, do you need anything more? Ask yourself that question. The ultimate goal for any bass player in funk is be able to play everything, and say everything, I should say, with just one note. And if that note's on the 1, you might as well just retire early, because it's job done. It's all about practice. I'm still learning, and I don't think there'll ever be a day when I won't learn anything, which is great. That inspires me still. And for the players that are wanting to get more into music, more into funk especially, listen to these players. Listen, because I've already described funk as a constant evolution of ideas and styles. Listen to the guys, some of the names that I've just mentioned earlier, and sort of say to yourself, yeah, I'll check those out. Listen to their lines, see if you can recreate them. You've got all these slap lines. You take Louis Johnson's stuff, you listen to Flea from the Chili Peppers, he's doing it in the style that he wants to, but you can link it back to Louis, link it back to Bootsy. It's all funk. It's funk rock because it's evolved. But for them, practice, guys. If you all the tunes that you play already, I envisage a whole band in my head when I play. There's not much space in there, but I get them in. I envisage a band playing. If I can imagine somebody playing with me when I play. My goal is to play, and this is what I suggest you try, make everything you play feel, not sound, feel as good as it can possibly feel with just yourself. Because if you can achieve that as an individual, you put a drummer to it, emphasising the one with you, you put a guitarist with it, playing some funky rhythm guitar, you put keyboards in or a vocalist, that feel is only going to multiply. So, for example, if you were playing, I don't know, let's okay, that's just notes, okay, root, flat 7, octave 1, back via the flat 7, okay, in the key of A. If I was playing that, okay, you could play it. Yeah, but it's all there, it's played, it's got good sound, you know what I'm saying? But you've got to imagine the other parts of the band with you. Yeah, and knowing about stuff. Going back to that Let My People, the Dr. Sax recording we did. I've got options. The more knowledge you have as a musician, the more options you'll have. But you've never, ever got to let those options get in the way of what you're trying to say. Like I said, keep your powder dry. Use those options to break up the often repetitious nature of some of the things you play. And I don't mean a fill every bar, 8 bars, 16th bars, just drop something in. That Dr. Sax tune, I'm just doing that for ages. But once I go... I just walk down to a major third and then back up. But knowing these things, that's a very gospel or blues thing to do, but it works in the tune. Also, little things about finding places to leave spaces. How do you get a person's attention? You don't shout at them, you get quieter, or you leave a gap. If you're playing and people are listening to that and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, there's noise going on. But if all the bands suddenly go 3, 4, 1, everybody's like, whoa, what's happened? You know? Yeah, sure. So practice all these things. I mean, I'm a real advocate of learning scales, learning good discipline, learning good technique, and get the most out of your instrument. You don't need great instruments to play great funk music. The guys in the 50s and 60s, you know, in the day, the old instruments, they've had a massive comeback. But some of the instruments, they weren't particularly great, but they made a great sound on them because they just believed in everything they played, and they sold it musically with groove and feel. No worries.